What's up YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel, and today I have a very intriguing deck profile for you guys. It is known as Gate Guardian. I never thought Gate Guardian would actually be a fucking archetype. Who would have ever thought that it would be an actual archetype? So so what I find so intriguing about the Gate Guardian deck is that you can make any board that you want using the cards at your disposal, and that's your board. So with my build is more revolved around more of a I want to say more of like a control beatdown. Excuse me, more of a control beatdown style where you're able to control how the board is presented, while at the same time overpowering your opponent with a bunch of beaters, and you can just attack for game, which is pretty nuts. What's even more intriguing is that the side deck this side deck that I have is mainly constructed to go up against pretty much any and all like Xyz heavy base decks, which includes decks like Red Eyes, decks like Kashtira, decks like Utopia, decks like those, while at the same time being able to overpower your opponent with cards like Nibiru, which I do have in the side. So hopefully you guys are ready for this deck profile. If you guys are, and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, follow me on all of my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. All the info will be in the description as well, if you guys want to send fan mail. And guys, we are right now, we are now 30, not 30, we are now 43 subs away from 200. We are getting closer and closer to the goal. And as I have said in previous videos, if this channel gets to 200 subs, I will open up this Korean Strike of Neos booster box in its entirety on the channel. It is completely taped, as you guys can tell right about here. Under the right light, there it is, it's taped. So 200 subs, I opened this up in its entirety on the hopes to potentially pull the so-called forbidden Yu-Gi-Oh card known as Elemental Hero Air Neos. However, if the channel gets to 1,000 subs, I will open up this Toon Chaos box, which is first edition, as you guys can tell from right there. First edition. I actually got this box from my partners at Collector Store. I actually got it on the week of its release, if I remember right. So 3 years. I've had this box for about 3 years. Never opened it until now. Obviously, if the channel gets to 1,000 subs, this will be opened. If you guys have not checked out my partners at Collector Store, all of their info will be in the description. If you guys go to them physically, make sure you guys look for Ben, let him know that I sent you. He's an awesome dude. Shoutouts to him. Shoutouts to Collector Store. Awesome store, guys. Awesome store. But with that being said, if you guys want to see these boxes get opened, make sure you guys subscribe, hit the bell, and as always, you guys know with these deck profiles, I always post the full deck list, if you will, I'd say about maybe an hour or two, maybe about 3 hours or so after the video gets put up. But today I'm gonna be posting it a little bit later than normal, just because I'm gonna be busy with some other stuff. So I do apologize, but it will be posted on my Instagram. So make sure you guys follow me there. Again, my ad will be in the description. Let's get straight into it, guys. Kicking things off, we actually have 2 copies of all of the Gate Guardian pieces. So we got 2 copies of Sanga of the Thunder, 2 Suijin, and 2 Kazejin. if you guys have never seen these cards before, they were released all the way back in Metal Raiders, an old monster line, right, from Metal Raiders, as an archetype. Can you guys actually can you guys actually believe that? That's so bizarre. That is absolutely bizarre. What is with my hair? Guys, my hair, right here, is acting a fool. Anyway, so Sanga's effect reads: once while face up on the field during damage cal, in your opponent's turn, if this card is being attacked as a quick effect, you can target the attacking monster, make that target's attack 0 during damage cal only. Suijin's effect, Suijin's quick effect says that if it's being attacked, you can make the attacking monster's attack 0. Actually, they all have the same effect. They all have the exact same effect, where if they're being attacked, the attacking monster's attack becomes 0. But that's not that effect is completely irrelevant because the idea is to summon out one of these pieces, take one of the other pieces that's different from the one you summoned, put it into the back row, and if you have all 3 pieces both on the front lines and in the back row, you can automatically summon out Gate Guardians combined just by banishing those 3 pieces, or if you have any combination of any 2. So for instance, Sangha and Suijin, you can go Gate Guardian of Water and Thunder, Sangha and Kazejin, you can go into Thunder and Wind. Suijin and Kazejin, you can go into Wind and Water, which each of these 4 has an effect that's absolutely nuts, which I will get to the extra deck when later on in the video. But not only that, you can also use any of the 2 pieces to go into your rank 7 Xyzs, which I have 4 rank 7s in the deck, and it is absolutely nuts. It's an insane deck. It's pretty insane. Next up, we have 3 copies of the brand new card that was released in Maze of Memories, known as Labyrinth Heavy Tank, in which if you guys have never seen this card before, it's a 7-star Dark Machine with 2400 attack and defense, and its effect reads: you can normal summon this card without tributing. Cannot attack the turn it is normal summon, and during the main phase, during your main phase, you can place one of your Sangha of the Thunder, Kazejin, or Suijin that is banished or in your hand, or deck face up in your back row as a continuous spell. Then, if you control a Labyrinth Wall card, you can destroy a monster your opponent controls. And the funny thing is that you do have a Labyrinth Wall card. Labyrinth Wall Shadow, which is actually the field spell, which we'll get to the spells in a bit. So the idea for this is to place one of the three gate guardian pieces, put it into the back row, and if you have Labyrinth Wall Shadow on board, you can pop any card. You can basically pop any monster that your opponent may have. Activate fusion deployment. Reveal Gate Guardians combined. Let's say Suijin is in the back row, off of the effect of the Labyrinth Heavy Tank. You would activate fusion deployment. Reveal Gate Guardians combined. Special summon Sangha of the Thunder. And if you have Labyrinth Wall Shadow on board, you can then take Kazejin, put it into the back row, and you can automatically summon Gate Guardians combined right off the bat. But But at the same time, you could also use any of those two to go into your rank 7s if you wanted to. Which is pretty cool. Which is pretty cool. Next up, we have 3 copies of Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth. This is actually a really interesting card, but the card, ooh, excuse me, but the card is actually busted. So it's a 5-star dark zombie with 1600 attack, 1300 defense, and the effect reads, you can discard this card, add 1 Labyrinth Wall card from your deck to your hand. So this is essentially your terraforming to add Labyrinth Wall Shadow to your hand, which is pretty nice. So I know that there were some decks that I'd seen that were actually running terraforming. Funny thing is that you don't need terraforming. Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth is essentially terraforming, so you don't really need the actual terraforming card to add the field spell, which is pretty cool. At the start of the damage step, if your opponent's monster battles while you control a Labyrinth Wall card, meaning obviously the field spell, you can banish the card from your grave, destroy that opponent's monster. You can only use each effect once per turn. So not only is this a terraforming, but it's also but it's sort of like an Ally of Justice Catastor, just by banishing itself, which is pretty nice. So 3 copies, pretty cool. And then to round up the monsters, we have 2 copies of Ash Blossom and 2 copies of Ghost Bell, just in case if your opponent does try anything shady, like with their graveyard or whatever, you can just activate Ash and Bell, and you're off to the races there. That's pretty much it for the monsters. For the monsters, there's only 16, but the spells, there are quite a few of them. So for the spells, as far as my draw cards go, I have 2 copies of Sacred Sword of 7 Stars and 2 copies of Pot of Acquisitiveness. So you guys know trade-in. You discard a level 8 monster and you draw 2. With Sacred Sword, you banish a level 7 from your hand or face-up field, and you get to draw 2. Yes, it is a once per turn, but it's a great way to banish one of the gate guardian pieces, just to be able to add it back to your hand, or excuse me, or to be able to take it out of your banish pile and bring it back into the back row, which is pretty cool. And there is a way to do that that's not Pot of Acquisitiveness or Cyphering Lord Omega, which I'm running in the extra, which I'll get to that in a bit. There's one other card that ensures that you can add your Gate Guardian pieces back to your hand from your banished pile. But we'll get to that in a bit. Now, Pot of Acquisitiveness is kind of an odd one, because it does neg you one, but the thing is that you're recycling three monsters from your banished pile. You're putting them back into the deck, and you're drawing 1. So it basically comes as a 1 for 3 for 1, if that makes sense. So the 1 is the pot of Acquisitiveness. The 3 is obviously your banished monsters, putting them back into your deck, and then the 1 is basically the draw, where you only get to draw 1 card, which is a bit weird that they did it that way. If it was shuffle 3 from your banished pile into the deck and draw 2, I truly believe this card would be a little more powerful, but I decided to put this at 2 just because even though you are going to be doing a lot of banishing, there are ways that they're able to bring them back out of your banish pile and onto the board, into your hand and whatnot. You know, and also back into your graveyard. So this card, pot of acquisitiveness, can't even speak. Essentially just becomes a brick. But if you do have 3 monsters in your banish pile and you have no way to get them to your hand or whatnot, then this card just is just pretty powerful, which is pretty nice. Next up, we have 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. As I mentioned earlier with the Labyrinth Tank, this card basically lets you reveal any fusion that you have in your extra deck, and you're able to summon one of the materials used to summon that monster. So, for instance, as I said, if you revealed, I'll say, Gate Guardians combined, you can summon Saga, you can summon Suijin or Kazijin. If you were to reveal any of the two and any of the others, you know, which are Water and Thunder, you could summon either Sanga or Suijin. Thunder and Wind, either Sanga or Kazijin. Wind and Water, Suijin or Kazijin. Or Gate Guardians combined, you can special summon one of any of the 3, which is pretty nice. But here's the kicker: once you do that, you're basically locked out of your extra deck, except for your fusions, which basically cuts your extra deck options by half, which is not bad, but the main card that you're gonna want to summon the most is obviously Gate Guardians combined, just because of the fact that it's an Omni Negate and it's just absolutely busted. Next up we got a single. Now, next up for the 1-ofs, we got the 1 Foolish Burial, the 1 Call By, and the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. Foolish is in here to send mainly to send the Shadow Ghoul to your graveyard, so you can basically get the Catastrophe effect, which is pretty nice. We got obviously again Call By to stop any hand traps from being triggered, and then Harpy's Feather Duster, obviously because the back row is gonna be a pain in the fucking ass. So Duster is a must. Next up, we have 2 copies of Field Barrier. I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are probably thinking, wait a minute, Field Barrier? Why the fuck are you playing this card? Well, it's simple. Because that there are cards such as Harpy's Feather Duster, and even also Cosmic Cyclone, Twin Twister. Because that those cards are still in the meta, Field Barrier basically protects your Labyrinth Wall Shadow from being destroyed, and not only that, if your opponent were to have a field spell on board, their field spell is also protected as well, and neither player would be able to activate a new field spell, which going up against decks like Heroes, what other decks use field spells? There's a few, I don't remember which ones. Morphtronics would be a good prime example. Dark World is definitely a really good example. Though if your opponent neither player would be able to activate new cards, which is a bit of a downfall, but still Field Barrier is pretty good. And speaking of Labyrinth Wall Shadow, we actually have 3 copies of the aforementioned field spell. This card is absolutely nuts. So the effect reads: monsters cannot attack the turn they are summoned, which it's basically a Vengeful Bog Spirit, which Vengeful Bog Spirit reads literally is a continuous spell that reads monsters cannot attack the turn they are summoned. Labyrinth Wall Shadow has that same effect, but what's interesting about this is that it says except monsters whose original level is 5 or higher. So because they've got Shadow Ghoul, Labyrinth Heavy Tank, Suijin, Kaisijin, Sangha, like all these like monsters that are higher than level 5. Guess what? They get to attack, which is pretty nice. And it says once per turn during your main phase, you can place one of your Gate Guardian pieces that is banished or in your hand or in your deck face up in your back row as a continuous spell. And at the start of your opponent's battle phase, you can target one monster your opponent controls with less than 1600 attack and destroy it. So again, it's basically another version of Shadow Ghoul, where you get to pop cards and just go off from there, which is pretty nice. But what's even more, what I find even more interesting is basically the combo. As I said, which is which again is as I said, you can go fusion, you can go Shadow Ghoul, add the Labyrinth Wall Shadow. Can't speak. Add the Labyrinth Wall Shadow, activate the field spell, normal summon the Labyrinth Heavy Tank. Obviously, being able to normal summon it without a tribute. Trigger its effect. Take one of your Gate Guardian pieces. Put it into the back row. Activate fusion deployment. Take the second Gate Guardian piece. Put it into the back row. Activate Wall Shadow's effect. Activate the field spell's effect. Take the last piece. Put it into the back row. Boom. Gate Guardians combined on board. Plain and simple, which is pretty nice. So that's basically a combo. That's the combo. Go into if you have those pieces, you can go into Gate Guardians combined turn 1, and it essentially just becomes an Omni Negate, which is pretty nice. And since I mentioned as well the ways that you can bring your monsters back from your banish pile, there is a way to do it. And I'm running 3 copies of it, which is known as Double Attack Winds and Thunder. It's a quick play spell that reads, if you control a Gate Guardian monster, target one card of the field and destroy it. During your main phase, you can banish the card from your grave, add one of your Gate Guardian pieces that is banished or in your deck to your hand. So this is a great way to take any of the 3 Gate Guardian pieces, put it back, bring it back into your deck or bring it into your hand, and you can just go from there, which is pretty nice. For the traps to round up the entire main deck, I've got 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence, 2 copies of Waking the Dragon, and 2 copies of Zing Zang Hu. For the extra deck, I've got 2 copies of Gate Guardians combined. This card, as I said, is essentially an Omni Negate. So it says must be special summoned from your hand. From your extra deck by banishing the above cards from your hand, field, and or graveyard. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control as a quick effect, negate that effect and destroy that card. You can only use this effect once. You can use this effect thrice per turn, meaning 3 times. So that's 3 negates you have right there, which is pretty nice. And its other effect reads: if this face-up special summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon one level 11 or lower Gate Guardian monster from your deck or extra deck, ignoring its summoning condition. So that's actually pretty nice. So you basically have 3 negates right there, right off the bat, which is really nice. Now, as far as Water and Thunder's effect reads once per chain as a quick effect, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, change its attack to 0 until the end of the turn, which you can use twice, which is really nice. Thunder and Wind's effect reads during your main phase, you can add a spell trap from your deck to your hand that mentions one of the Gate Guardian pieces, which is pretty cool. Yes, it is a once per turn, but you also have Wind and Water, which its effect reads once per chain. When your opponent activates a spell or trap or effect on the field, negate that effect and you can use it twice. So basically, you basically have. So if you were to make your board, you know what? Hold on. Let me show you guys the rest of the extra deck, and I'll show you guys the board that I recommend to make in order to create in order to give you guys a good amount of negation, if you will. So for the rest of the extra deck, I've got Psychic End Punisher, Draco Berserker of the Tenny, Cyphering Lord Omega, number 28 Titanic Moth, Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, number 11 Big Eye, and number 89 Diablosis the Mind Hacker. Psychic End Punisher is pretty nuts. So its effect reads: while your life points are less than or equal to your opponent's, this single summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Once per turn, you can pay 1,000 life points and target a monster you control and a card your opponent controls. Banish them. At the start of the battle phase, you can make this card gain attack equal to the difference in your life points and your opponent's. The thing is that this effect, that last one, is permanent. So no matter, its attack can go up to like 30,000, 40,000 attack, and that right there gives you game on board, which is really nice. Draco is essentially a bottomless trap hole, but it's basically a bottomless trap hole with built in with a negation. So whenever your opponent activates a monster effect, you get to banish it. So essentially its effect gets negated. So if the effect is activated in the graveyard, you can activate Draco, banish that monster, and its effect would not go off, which is really nice. And it also has another effect where it reads, if this attacking card destroys an effect monster by battle sent into the grave, this card gains attack equal to destroy monster's original attack, and it can make a second attack on a monster during each battle phase. So basically, it's a bottomless trap hole Cyber Twin Dragon, which is pretty cool. And then Cyphering Lord Omega is just a way to get your cards back into your graveyard, so you can use their effects over and over and over again, and you're able to make your board even more, a little more a little more quicker, if you will. Now, number 28 is a bit of an odd one, but what's cool about number 28 is that its effect reads: if you control no monsters, this card can attack directly. But when it does so using this effect, the battle damage inflicted to your opponent is cut in half. And when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can detach a material from his card and inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each card in their hand. So it's a great way to deal a little more extra damage, while at the same time comboing off from there, which is pretty insane. Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, we all know what it does. It's essentially it's essentially a way to it's a way to deal even more damage anytime your opponent activates a card effect. It's just too broken. Number 11, Big Eyes mainly is basically a way to ensure that you're able to go into your synchro plays, which is pretty nice. And then number 89 is in here to force deck out your opponent, which is pretty cool. So as far as the board goes, the idea is to go. Let's see. What was it? Go Gate Guardians Combined, Water and Thunder, Wind and Water, Psychic and Punisher, Draco Berserker, and number 89. That's the board. If you're able to make that board, you essentially have arguably one of the most broken boards out there. Like, it's pretty nuts. Or what you can also do is go Gate Guardians Combined, Water and Thunder, Wind and Water, Psychic and Punisher, Cypher Lord Omega, and Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so basically any 6 of these, and you basically just have your board. That right there, those are like 2 of your best boards that you can go into, which is pretty nice. Now for my side deck, again, as I said, excuse me. As I said, the side deck is mainly going up against the Kashtira decks, and just comboing off from there. So for my side deck, I've got 2 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 copies of Kashtira Fenrir, only because of the fact that it has a Cyber Dragon effect, where if you have no monsters on board, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you're able to just go and you're able to automatically normal summon the Labyrinth Heavy Tank, and you can just combo off from there, which is really nice. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, 2 copies of Effect Veiler, 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More, 2 copies of Evenly Matched, and 3 copies of Vain Betrayer. Again, going up against the Kashtira decks, this card is absolutely nuts. If you guys have never seen this card before, this was released in, I believe, Judgment of the Light. So it's been quite a while since this card has been released. But it's essentially a Phoenix Chain, but for Xyz monsters. So its effect reads, when an opponent Xyz monster declares an attack, activate this card by targeting the attacking monster. It cannot attack, its effects are negated, and while that monster is on the field during your opponent's end phases, during each of your opponent's end phases, send the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck to the graveyard. When that monster leaves the field, destroy this card. So what's cool about this is that it can pair really well in conjunction with Diablosis the Mind Hacker, because you can take one of those you can take one of those cards, banish it, and just banish even more cards. Send more cards from your opponent's deck to their graveyard. You have another really powerful combo right off the bat from there. And if you were to have as well the Field Barrier, the Labyrinth Wall Shadow, and Zing Zang Hu, as well as the Vain Betrayer, with hand traps in your hand at your disposal, you got a pretty powerful combo right there. You got a pretty powerful board right there, which is pretty cool. So that's pretty much it for this deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys enjoyed it and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, follow me on all of my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. if you guys want to send fan mail. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.